Hello, hi, welcome to my car. Again, I realise that we've been here before, but I'm calling this episode of Rob Talks to you from his car as he drives up north and gives you a bit of a story. Open brackets, a real story, close brackets, open brackets again. Seriously, true story time, close brackets. Now this isn't just because I'm going to be bored for like 2.5 hours of driving, it's because I legitimately think this is interesting content. So, you know, buckle up, strap in, and prepare for a lot of jump cuts as I cut around 3 hours of driving. So, yes, I'm travelling north, back up home again. This time not for my birthday, that would be strange to do it 2 weeks in a row. Although my mum had a month-long birthday seemingly this year, but that's a different story. No, today we're moving up north for just one day to go to my cousin's baby shower. That's right. Congrats, Lee and Dave. You had sex and you made a baby, which is more than I've ever made whilst having sex. So mostly I make regret and a mess. So well done. But yeah, I thought, you know, we'd spend a few hours together, condensed down into what I'm guessing is a 10-minute video. I have no idea. I'm going to guess 10 minutes 32 seconds. Am I right? And I thought I'd take this opportunity to tell you a story from my childhood. That's right, the past of Rob Taylor. So, take yourselves back to the glorious year of 2003. 2003, just to paint the picture, set the scene, or maybe even construct a whole world for you if you weren't fully coherent back then. Either you were young or off your tits on some sort of drugs. 2003, the Iraq invasion, not invasion, had just happened, started, obviously 2 years after 9/11. Lord of the Rings, The Return of the King was in the cinema, as was X-Men 2, as was Pirates of the Caribbean something. It's an interesting year for film. Well, blockbuster film. What else? I looked on Wikipedia briefly before I left. I saw that That's So Raven was still on. So, you know, it was a better time. And I was of the young old age of 14. Now, I was in my secondary school at the time. Secondary school in the West Midlands, good old Coventry, God bless. And this is actually also not only a thrilling story, but also the story of how I met my good friend Richard Perry. That's right, the guy who's rocked up in every one of these videos so far, and I don't know how he keeps doing it, because I didn't intend on this to be a Richard Perry vlog, but he's always in there. There he is, and I want to make something very clear. He's there, and he's got the bar across his eyes to protect his identity, and there's been some rampant speculation that Richard Perry is in fact this guy. He's not. He's this guy. So, not this guy, alright? So, it's not that guy, it's that guy. So, it's where I first met Richard Perry, and we were going on a school trip. Now, this is where you'll all realise that our school was fairly fancy. It was a school trip to Rome, from Coventry to Rome. They're not next door to each other, unless you didn't know that. To Rome. I think it was across a lot of Italy, actually, a bit of Sorrento as well. It was lovely. Yes, so we were heading off. I think it was probably for a classics trip, let's face facts, to look at the old Colosseum, and to essentially fast forward past all the dull parts of form filling in and my parents giving a tearful goodbye on the coach. We got to Rome, and we were 14. And this is where the story truly begins. So we got to this hotel. I can't remember the details of the hotel. I'm going to put it at a 3-starer. I reckon it's probably a cheeky 3-star, you know, rustic Italian charm. But, you know, rustic. So we got to our dorm, our room in the hotel. If I recall, there were bunk beds. There was myself, Mr. Richard Perry, and 2 others who I think it was a guy called Paddy and a guy called Ben. So for their own protection's sake, I'm going to call them Paddy and Ben. And we're 14. We're in a room. There's some hours to kill. What do you do? So the first thing we did was put Paddy in a suitcase and put him in the lift, so that when the lift doors opened at the bottom, someone would be greeted by a suitcase that was full of a child. Hilarious. Very funny thing for children to do, not a funny thing for adults to do. There's probably a cut off somewhere as to where you can put a child in a suitcase and it would be funny. There's probably a cut off somewhere. It's probably 16, probably when you stop being a child. Although a 16-year-old putting a 4-year-old in a suitcase is bad, isn't it? You have to be the same age. If you're the same age as the person you're putting in a suitcase, it's funny. If you're older, it ain't right. And if you're younger, I mean, all power to you. Anyway, Paddy was in a suitcase. Then we stopped all that shenanigans and we turned to, oh look, a Rolls Royce. Old Rolls Royce, a stretched Rolls Royce with a man in a hat. Oh, don't think it was a funeral though. It was a silver Rolls Royce. Anyway, sorry. We turned our attention to the utility cupboard that was to the side of our bedroom. And this was filled to the brim with toilet paper. Now, I don't know if it was hang on, another Rolls Royce. Procession of stretched Rolls Royces. Might have been a funeral. I didn't see a hearse. It was silver, that doesn't happen anyway, does it? Back to the story. Utility closet filled to brim with toilet paper. Now, I don't know if it was the whole hotel's toilet paper stash. We were on quite a few floors up. I think probably about, I'm going to say 14 floors, because at the age of 14, there's 14th floor. Maybe it was the floor's toilet paper. And again, with children, we think, well, it'll be fun. We can lean out of our window, wet the toilet paper, and hurl it at passers-by. Funny, you know, hilarious. So we opened up our little window with the, I believe it had wooden slatted thingies, you know, window doors. Shutters is probably the right phrase. Open them up, wet many handfuls of toilet paper, and began just lobbing them at passers-by. You know, anyone that would go near the pavement of our hotel. So anyone was fair game, really. You know, young people, men, women, old people, men, women, rich people, poor people. My God, we were quite, you know, modern thinking when it came to light terrorism. Anyone was a goal, you know, we didn't discriminate. But of course we were also terrible shots as well. Well, I'm just going to go for this. So we weren't really hitting anyone. There was just like a long line of splats of toilet paper leading up to people sat at a bench. Hilarious for us. Lots of near misses, a lot of confused faces in which we dug back in to our shuttered cove where no one could find us and the law could never reach us. And after about half an hour, we ran out of toilet paper. So that supply cupboard that I was telling you about, filled to the brim, yeah, we ran out. There's a lot of toilet paper on that pavement. So we weren't bored with this game yet, still hilarious. So we turned to what was in our bags, and I believe Paddy had wine gums. Now you've got to remember, it's 2003. It's before the economic crash of 2008. You could throw wine gums out the window and no one would bat an eye. No one would care. You could do it laughing. People would do it. Homelessness wasn't a thing. No one had any problems. Wine gums were dirt, you know. So we turned to them as our missile of choice. These proved to be much more accurate. They were a wonderful change of pace. We were getting bullseyes. We were hitting the backs of their heads. We were getting multi-shots. My God, we were like assassins, like Deadshot from DC, or Hawkeye from the Marvel Universe. He's not assassin, he's got a bow and arrow, but you know, we were accurate is what I'm trying to get at. Or Bullseye from the Marvel Universe. He's also accurate. Lots of people are accurate, but not with wine gums. That's where we came in. This went on for a bit and it was great. It was getting late in the eve, and that's when we spotted the man in black. Very well suited gent, bespectacled, lovely quiff on the man. If I was to make a guess, about 14 years later, I'd say he was probably rocking a bit of Brill cream, you know? You can imagine it. I think if I was to really paint a picture, he probably smelled of cedar wood and bergamot, you know, that kind of thing. He's wearing shades, very slender, suited and booted. I liked his style, so immediately we thought, let's have him. Now, the throwee was Mr. Richard Perry, that guy, not that guy, that guy. He lined up a shot. We were all huddled round him, and he did throw the wine gum. I believe it was a green wine gum. Don't know what shape it was. I believe he threw it. Now I'm saying wine gum, it might have been a fruit pastel. Might have been a fruit pastel. It was some sort of delicious chewy sweet. He hefted that green fruit pastel / wine gum towards the well-dressed, dapper man who potentially smelt of cedar wood. Bullseye. It bounced off his right shoulder. Beautiful shot. In the nanoseconds that followed, we were incredibly proud of ourselves. Unfortunately, the man in black wheeled around instantaneously, like he had a pivot in his own body, straight round, and he was holding a gun. Yeah, he wasn't just holding a gun, he was pointing that gun at us. Like a marksman, all of a sudden, we weren't the Hawkeyes and the Deadshots of the world, the dapper gent was. He was pointing it right at us. As anyone would do, we shat ourselves, slammed those shutters shut, nice and quick like, and hid in our room. You know when like time slows down, and seconds feel like minutes and days feel like weeks? I think that's what went on. We kind of huddled round the beds and kind of, you know, collated. What now? What's just gone on? We'll be fine, surely. You know, maybe it was just a madman. Maybe it was a funny prank. Or maybe Italians are just that highly strung and we got the wrong end of the stick, but nothing will come of it. But then, we did hear voices in the corridor outside. Angry voices. Really angry voices. And what was clearly the voice of our teacher and the voice of the hotelier, along with the other angry voice. There was a knock at the door. The door was opened. You know, I mean, we could have stayed there forever, but the door opened. And in ran the well-dressed man, still wielding a gun, and speaking in fast and angry Italian, as a well-dressed Italian man would. Our teacher was confused and panicked. The hotelier was trying to calm everyone down, as seemingly the only person who could speak both English and Italian. It turns out the well-dressed gent wasn't just a well-dressed gent. He was part of the Italian Secret Service. Part of the Italian Secret Service that was looking after the Pope. Looking after the Pope, who I think was visiting either the Colosseum or something. He was in the area. He was on the block. The well-dressed man was just doing a tour of the block. And when he'd been hit on the shoulder by a wine gum, or fruit pastel, other fruit sweets are available, he thought he'd been attacked with a grenade. He thought we threw a grenade at him. And he was calling for our arrest, even though I think it'd been made clear to him he hadn't been assaulted by a grenade, but by a small, delicious sweet. Now, this is where you've got to admire the quick thinking of a young teen's mind. Paddy instantly said that he wasn't in the room. He was in the toilet. Wasn't him. But then that also changed to, the wine gum wasn't thrown at you, sir. Perry was at the window chewing casually on a wine gum, like a man would sit on the veranda and sip brandy, when one of us came up behind Perry and jovially just slapped him on the back like, "How you doing, buddy?" And the shock of that back slap resulted in him spitting the wine gum out, or fruit pastel, coincidentally directly towards the well-dressed gent, and hitting him on the shoulder with what he thought was a grenade. They didn't buy that story. And this is where my memory goes hazy. I know that I'm here today, and I didn't get banged up in an Italian prison, and I also know I didn't get killed. So we got out of it somehow. But all that I know is, when we got back to good old Blighty, we became a little bit of a legend. That's right. Because our teacher at the time liked to document our trips and present them in the theatre to the parents when we got back, and there was a whole section dedicated to Wine Gum Gate, or Fruit Pastel Gate. Fruit Pastel Gate, Wine Gate, Chewy Sweet Gate. So, yeah, that's my story. That's my story for you this week. Welcome back to Rob Talks. Took a bit of a hiatus there for a week just because Rachel lost a cable. But, you know, different format. I'm not saying it's going to be a regular format because it probably won't be. But, you know, whenever I'm having a bit of a drive, I want to have a chat with you guys, you and me, we're going to do this. So, in the comments below, tell me, any crazy stories from your childhood? Have you ever been held at gunpoint as a kid for throwing a wine gum at an Italian Secret Serviceman? Like and subscribe, as always. If you go on our Facebook page, facebook.com/Tiny Ginger Studios, we've got a little competition there. When we get to 1,000 followers, we're going to give away Amazon Kindle Fire, and it's ginger, brilliant, for free. So just like our page for a chance to that. And we'll get back to our regular Rob Talk /reviews next week. Thank you very much for watching. See you around, kids. Bye.